Hello and welcome to Alternatives. I'm your host, Karina Rachel, and I'm talking today with Renee Rodgers. She's a registered nurse and a certified yoga instructor, and today we're going to be talking about yoga therapy, what it is and how it can help you to achieve your health goals, whatever they may be. So Renee, thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Definitely. In the previous interview, you shared a bit of your health journey and how you ended up going from working as a registered nurse in critical care to transitioning into more of a holistic approach and actually became a certified yoga instructor, and now you're working on yoga therapy. So can you maybe talk in this video about what yoga therapy is and why it's different from just the typical yoga classes or yoga videos people might be used to?
It's stretching. All yoga is stretching and tight pants. Yoga therapy is really special. I can't believe it's not out there more. It's so effective. What makes yoga therapy different than just regular yoga is the mind-body integration with the breath specifically. So it's attentive movements with conscious breathing. And that linking, these are all tools. These are tools in the yogic toolbox, so to speak, that we use to create state change. And state change is an experience. It's something that I can't tell you about, but it's something that you can feel and you can relate to yourself. And when we have these experiences, they talk to our system, and then that makes the change in our life, and that makes the lasting change in our life. So when you just do some asanas and you're pumping it out and you're getting a good stretch and your body's feeling good and you're sweating and burning calories, that's a beautiful thing. But when you can take that foundation and you can change your state and you can change how your system functions and how it integrates in the world and how it thinks and behaves and how you think and behave and how you interact with everyone around you, that's yoga. There's a whole nother element to it. So it's much different than physical therapy even, which has many of the same elements. Physical therapy really works with strengthening a muscle or stretching the muscle or releasing it. But until you have conscious attention to your movements, linked with your breath, it's not yoga.
Okay, very cool. So what are maybe, we think about yoga, I think maybe one of the first things that we think of is, yoga can help with back pain. Yoga can help with just areas of soreness. It can help us become more flexible. So from the perspective, maybe using back pain as an example, what makes yoga therapy so much more effective?
So yoga therapy, looks at the person as a whole. So we not only look at where you're having back pain and then just treat your back, because there's so much more to it. So what in your life is causing the back pain? What biomechanical things in your life are maybe aggravating it? What negative stressors do you have in your life? A lot of yoga therapy is coming to an understanding of who you are as a person, and that if you continue negative cycles and habits in your life, you can never truly get rid of the pain because it's always just going to kickstart. So it's a lot of looking at you as a whole person and learning how to change those habits and then slowly putting in new, better ones, along with looking at that specific spot in the back and healing that and really using the muscles as a system to there's the whole muscle chain, and it works all the way up the body. And if I have back pain, it might be directly related to a problem in my hips or something like that. And so it's never just so simple as my back hurts. Okay, let's do some stretches on the back. It's really a whole complicated system that really deserves to be individualized and paid attention to in a one-on-one fashion.
Awesome. So what would a typical session with you be like if someone were to schedule a yoga therapy session with you guys?
So I have my background, as you said, I'm an RN, critical care units, and so I take a lot of that into my yoga therapy because I think that's what we're really accustomed to, right? We're used to kind of healthcare being directed in this manner. And you can get a lot of good information. So usually, we come down, or you come see me, and I'm going to observe you a little bit and get some clues about how you move, and then we're just going to talk just like this. And I'm going to find out all about you, whatever you want to tell me. You don't have to tell me everything by any means, but whatever you want to share with me, your occupation, lifestyle, habits, your goals for yoga therapy, some pain, whatever. We're just going to talk, and I'm going to get to know you as a person. And then you're going to tell me about what you came in for today. So what's the specific concern that you want to address, say your back pain or whatnot. And then I'm going to watch you move. And so your program is going to be tailored specifically to where your body is at today. I'm not going to force you into a pose or have an expectation that you have to move this way, you have to move this way. We're going to start where you're at today and work within those confinements and then slowly start to come out of them. So it's just so beautiful. Like, yoga classes are so difficult because everyone's so different. That's what's great about us, right? But it really needs to be tailored to your body and to your needs. So after we do that, we'll probably do a little bit of breathing work, and then we sit down and we make a plan together. We learn about how much time do you have to put this practice into your life. Do you have an hour? Probably not. Nobody has an hour. But do you have 10 minutes? Is that doable? While the coffee percolates, can we get some yoga in? And those small practices built up every day, that's what changes your state and influences your system. And that's when you have the true healing and the true transformation.
Awesome. And I think that for anyone out there who, does suffer from something like back pain, and of course that's just an example, because there's so many different things that people deal with, headaches, migraines, there's another really common thing that I see just all the time. And it can be really intimidating to go to a yoga class or even put on a yoga video, and there just end up being those times where you're seeing what the instructor is doing, or you're seeing the way they're telling you to move, and depending on where you're at, sometimes your body, either it's going to be painful to try to do that or something, and it just becomes intimidating, and oftentimes people end up either not doing it at all, and that fear, that intimidation kind of feeds into those negative thoughts and self-judgments like you were talking about earlier.
Absolutely.
So something that really takes the approach of, let's look at where you are and what your body can do, rather than trying to force your body to do these other things, which arguably yoga is not trying to do either. But I think a lot of us, when we're trying to do yoga for the first time or trying to do anything for the first time, it's hard to get past that feeling of that we're not forcing our body to do this thing. Instead, we want to listen to our body and try to do the things that are going to make it feel better, or make it feel good.
Absolutely. Building that relationship with your body, having that communication, really listening to the feedback that your body gives you. And you made an excellent point about it can be really intimidating to start anything new. And that's what's so great about the yoga therapy too, is it's one-on-one, and you're supported, and you're in a healing space, and you have that sense of just openness, and it's okay. So even if you get overwhelmed, we can take the practice down or meet you wherever you're at, and you're not just lost in the back of a yoga class feeling like you're the only one in the room that doesn't have their chaturanga perfect, and you don't even know what that means. Why did I come here? And then you just get stressed before you even leave the class.
Right. So let's look at maybe another really common thing that people struggle with, and that is weight loss.
Right.
I have made a lot of videos on this channel about weight loss and things like that. I think one of the biggest things that people often one of the kind of ruts that people get stuck in is they're like, okay, I need to start exercising. And basically the problem is that they're making too big of a demand on their body, or they're, getting into something, they're either not doing it safely. And then again, with the intimidation, right? And if they come once and they're not able to do it, then suddenly they feel much less motivated to come back to it.
Absolutely.
So can you maybe talk about how yoga therapy could be effective for helping people lose weight, and maybe even your own personal experience?
Definitely. I think there's even so many different avenues that I can talk about where it would be effective. Again, back to the relationship with your body, that's one piece. When you start to listen to your body and you know when you're hungry and your body starts to tell you what it's craving and what it needs for nourishment and what foods, and that will guide all your decisions and help you make better choices and build better habits, just having that relationship and that sense of body awareness. Another really big avenue is yoga is so good for the internal organs and for it's called Agni. It's our digestive fire. So many of us, and this was my case, my body was just so broken, nothing was functioning the way that it should, that I had absolutely no digestion. So many people walking around don't even know, how many bowel movements you're supposed to have in a day, or like they haven't felt normal and balanced to have that feeling in so long. Their digestion's just shut off. That's where mine was. I was bloated all the time. And then I ate more salads because I felt overweight and not pretty, so I thought I needed to diet, and that was just causing more bloating because my body wasn't getting nourished then too, and the salad was hard on it. And so having that relationship to understand that, and then just igniting that digestive fire, all the twists and the poses and the breathing especially really can turn on your digestion like that. Like, it's amazing the results it can have for people, and it's so great. And then again, just having the support. And there's breathing techniques that when you feel hungry, you can sit and have 4 breaths and then you don't feel hungry anymore. Or knowing a lot of eating better, it can be that cycle and even like an addiction mind, right? Like, you shouldn't have that food, so then that's all you think about, right?
Right.
And so having a tool to kind of control the mind or focus the mind on something else, all of these are in the yogic toolbox in so many different ways that we can help people with weight loss or whatever their health concern is.
And I think maybe another consideration that a lot of people are in a situation, they have this kind of desire that they want to look a certain way. I want to lose this weight. I want to look like this. I want to have a flat belly. I want to have a whatever. And, for me as a health coach, there's this kind of constant feeling where you're like, well, if you want your body to drop excess weight, your body needs to be functioning the way that it's supposed to.
Exactly.
Really, in my mind, your health and your ideal weight are, completely connected.
Yes.
And so it's going to be really hard for you to, to drop excess weight and achieve these aesthetic goals, you could say, if you want to just try and ignore your health, your stress, your sleep, and all of these other factors. So a big obstacle in weight loss is oftentimes, like you were saying, that the body's just not functioning.
Right.
Either you're not digesting food the way that you're supposed to, or, especially when we consider someone that's been living their lifestyle for 10 years, 20 years, 30 or 40 years. You have so many habits that start to become ingrained, and you just have to you understand that, part of it is retraining your body to function the way it's supposed to, learning to burn fat, learning to sleep, learning to, like you were saying, crave the foods and listen to our cravings, and find healthier ways to satisfy our cravings. So in that respect, if we can understand that weight loss, rather than a goal, is maybe going to be the side effect of improving our health, of improving our relationship with our body and all of those different things, then maybe it becomes a much easier to attain goal than when you're just fixating on the number on the scale or whatever.
Absolutely. When you start just integrating your health as your priority and your focus, everything else just falls in place. And I even find clients come to me a lot of times with the aesthetic goal in mind, right? But then once they start having their body function and they feel that, like, you feel it, it's just night and day, the difference. And I didn't even know until I had that experience of this is what it feels like to have things working again, I thought I was just fine. Like, I knew things weren't wrong, but I didn't think my body just wasn't working. But once you have that experience, the aesthetic thing doesn't matter so much because you feel good. Your body's working like it should, and you feel comfortable, and you don't feel that pressure of I need to change something because your body is working like it should, and you can feel that, and you feel good. So for a lot of clients, that aesthetic thing kind of falls out the window, even though maybe that's what they come to me with intentions for, and they do lose weight, but that's not even the main goal in the long run. It's just to be their true selves and to feel good.
And I think what that kind of, maybe is a symptom of is that, people's desire to lose weight, people's desire to look this way or that way stems from the fact that they are unhappy.
Yes.
They're either feeling unfulfilled or maybe they feel physically sick. We talked a little bit about, motivation and that positive thinking that comes when you start to connect with your body again and building this healthy relationship, that suddenly maybe it feels easier to motivate yourself, easier to stay on track.
Yes.
Not so much because of the, of the aesthetic goal, so to speak, but because you just start feeling better. And so that's just such a wonderful thing, and something that oftentimes, kind of like you were saying, people don't realize that they need. They don't realize how much better they could feel. You could have energy, you could have motivation, you could have a positive outlook. That is not something that like you only see in people on TV. Like, you can have that, and like, here's how.
Yeah, and it's all right here in you. It just needs a little bit of guidance. But I think that's a great point that you make, is sometimes we get caught up in the cycle, when we have these huge expectations for ourselves, and they're just so unattainable. But we're an American culture, so we think we can do it all. We think we can get it all, and we push ourselves. And when you can't reach this big goal, you kind of get into that cycle where you start feeling bad about it. And then you make bad choices for yourself, because that's human nature, is to kind of self-inflict those wounds when we're not feeling good. But once you take care of yourself and your body's functioning like it should, you don't feel the need to do that. You don't even realize, it just stops happening. You just stop driving past Burger King and looking at it, it just happens also naturally. And that's the cool part about it. It's not mind games, it's not trick or anything, it's just your body working as it should.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So do you have any closing thoughts or things that you would like to tell people about yoga therapy?
The biggest thing is I just want everyone to understand that it's okay if you've never done yoga, or it's okay if you don't know what it is, or it's okay if you think it's voodoo or what, you don't really get it. It can be so simple as just linking movement with breath. It can be so slow and so gentle, or it can be a vigorous practice if you need that stimulation. There's so many different avenues to take with it, and it's really beneficial for everyone. So I just encourage everyone to take a look at it. It's so great.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Renee, for sharing your time with us here today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us today for this video. I hope you'll subscribe to our channel so you can come back and join me again for our future interviews. We have included links to Renee's yoga videos if you would like to check those out, and you can also find a link in the description where you can actually contact Renee directly and maybe even set up your own yoga therapy session. Thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.